There's no handbook for what to do when a grown man in camouflage guns down your daughter's racing Ostrich in broad daylight. Especially when your HOA president personally signed the permission slip. 1 minute, I'm sipping bad coffee in my bathrobe. The next, my 12-year-old daughter is cradling a 6-foot bird bleeding out on our lawn, screaming his name like maybe love alone could stitch him back together. And standing there, clipboard in hand, Crocs on feet, heart made of pure HOA-grade concrete, was Karen. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about a bird. This was a war over who gets to dream and who gets to destroy. And if you think I was about to let her win, you don't know me. You don't know Jet Feather. And you definitely don't know what happens when a neighborhood wakes up and fights back. If you've ever seen a dream hatch right in front of you, feathers, dust, and all, you'll understand what that day meant to us. It started with a crazy idea from a 12-year-old girl who refused to think small. Lily didn't want a puppy or a kitten like the other kids on the block. No, sir. My daughter wanted an ostrich. And not just any ostrich. She wanted a racing ostrich. A purebred speed demon from a champion bloodline straight out of South Africa. I remember the look on the breeder's face when he helped load Jet Feather into the truck. Like he was handing over a sacred flame. Or maybe just thinking, good luck, buddy. Jet Feather was beautiful, all awkward limbs and fierce eyes. He looked like he knew secrets the rest of us hadn't caught up to yet. Lily sat in the back seat the whole ride home, helmet on, race schedule printed out in her lap. Already planning training sessions like she was coaching an Olympic team. When we pulled into the driveway, neighbors peeked through curtains like we'd just parked a UFO. And maybe we had. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, had ever moved like Jet Feather once he hit that backyard. One moment he was a bird, the next he was a bullet with feathers, sprinting figure eights around the flower beds like the ground itself couldn't hold him down. Lily whooped and ran after him, laughing the way only kids can, wild, unself-conscious, pure joy echoing into the sky. That was the day our ordinary suburban backyard became a racetrack. That was the day Lily found her wings. And it was the day I realized dreams don't always come with instruction manuals. Sometimes they just show up, kick up some dust, and dare you to hold on. And we held on. We held on tight. By the way, if you've ever had a wild dream like Lily's, or maybe raised a pet no one else believed in, hit that like button, drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I've got a lot more coming your way, and trust me, this story, it's just getting started. But not everyone loved having a 6-foot speed freak living next door. Especially not Karen Hensley, HOA queen and self-declared protector of neighborhood aesthetics. And that's when things started to get messy. The queen of clipboards, Karen's war against freedom and fun. If dreams come on 2 legs and feathers, then nightmares apparently wear Crocs, carry clipboards, and answer to the name Karen Hensley. It didn't take long after Jet Feather's debut for Karen to strike. The first salvo? A formal HOA complaint delivered to my mailbox in an envelope so thick I thought it might be a subpoena. Unauthorized livestock presence, it read. Clear stock. Like Jet Feather was some kind of rogue cow rampaging through manicured flower beds. I called the county office. They told me, between fits of laughter, that ostriches didn't even qualify under local livestock ordinances. I sent Karen a polite email explaining all that. She responded by stapling a notice of aesthetic disruption to my front door. I wish I was kidding. Meanwhile, Jet Feather was oblivious to all of it. He spent his mornings racing the wind and his afternoons napping in a patch of sun, his giant body coiled like a sleeping dragon. Lily, bless her heart, started designing a tiny jersey for him, red and gold, team feathers stitched across the back. Freedom, joy, innocence. 3 things Karen could smell from a mile away and absolutely could not tolerate. She began patrolling, walking her yappy dog, Mr. Buttons, past our house 6 times a day, pausing to jot violations on her clipboard like she was compiling a case for the Supreme Court. Unsanctioned racing activity, Potential visual disruption. Threat to community tranquility. The woman wrote faster than a court stenographer at a mob trial. And me? I kept my cool. I told myself, pick your battles. Be better. Let the bird race. Until the day I found Karen standing just inside our fence line, phone out, recording Jet Feather mid-sprint, narrating in her best newscaster voice about illegal poultry exercises endangering suburban harmony. That's when I knew. This wasn't just Karen being Karen. This was the beginning of a Cold War. A war fought with clipboards, bylaws, and eventually bullets. Because the next move wasn't just a citation or a strongly worded email, it was something far worse. It was hunting season, and Jet Feather was about to become a target, a shot in the heart when bureaucracy meets tragedy. Some moments you can never unhear. The crack of the rifle came first, then Lily's scream. I dropped my coffee mug, it shattered against the porch, and ran. When I rounded the corner, I saw her. My 12-year-old daughter, cradling Jet Feather's massive body, rocking him like a toddler, sobbing so hard it sounded like it came from somewhere deeper than her chest. Blood soaked her jeans. Jet Feather's legs, those magnificent, unstoppable legs, twitched once, then stilled. Standing a few yards away were two camo-clad men, rifles in hand, faces blank with a mix of panic and confusion. And there, further back, clipboard in hand, was Karen. Calm, detached, watching like a queen inspecting battlefield casualties. I thought it was a wild turkey, the taller one shouted. Is a wild turkey. 6 feet tall, wearing a handmade racing jersey. Sure, buddy. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. I just dropped to my knees beside Lily and placed a hand on her back as she rocked, whispering to Jet Feather to wake up. Just one more race, please, please. It didn't matter that I knew ostriches couldn't understand English. It didn't matter that I knew he was already gone. In that moment, hope was the only language we had left. The hunters started mumbling excuses. Karen, still clutching her holy relic clipboard, muttered something about community hunting rights. And that's when something inside me shifted. Wrote, "Harden. You're gonna regret this," I said, standing up slowly, voice low enough that even Karen had to lean in to catch it. She smirked, that awful, dismissive smirk. "Is that a threat?" she asked. "No," I said. "It's a promise." And as I walked Lily and Jet Feather's broken body back across our field, something else grew inside me too. No, not just grief. Not just rage. Purpose. The kind that doesn't burn out. The kind that builds. Because mourning comes later. First, we had a funeral to plan. And, unknowingly, a movement to start. Grieving with Feathers, the funeral that became a movement. They say grief makes you irrational. If that's true, maybe throwing a funeral for a 6-foot racing ostrich in the middle of suburbia was our version of irrational. But when your daughter's heart has just been shattered in broad daylight, and when the people who caused it act like it's just another Tuesday HOA memo, you don't plan with your brain. You plan with your gut. And my gut said, Jet Feather deserved a hero's goodbye. We posted a simple message in the community Facebook group. Backyard ostrich funeral, all are welcome, feathers optional. I thought maybe 5 people would show up. Instead, over 40 neighbors came. Some brought flowers. Some brought pies. One well-meaning but very confused neighbor brought a rotisserie chicken. We decided not to unpack that too much. Lily insisted on giving the eulogy herself. She stood beside a framed photo of Jet Feather, mid-stride, beak wide open, like he was laughing at the wind. Her voice cracked, sure. But she spoke with the strength that adults twice her age can't always find. She told stories about how Jet Feather stole marshmallows, how he learned to sprint at the sound of a whistle, how he once chased Mr. Buttons, Karen's snobby Pomeranian, around the yard until Mr. Buttons needed therapy. And when Lily said, He didn't just race for me, he raced for all of us, whoever wanted to run free. Even the gruff old man from 3 houses down had to wipe his eyes with his sleeve. Then, of course, Karen showed up, clipboard in hand, the windbreaker zipped up to her judgmental chin. "This gathering exceeds the HOA's allowable number of guests for backyard events," she announced, like she was delivering a weather report. "Will be fined accordingly." The silence was so thick you could hear a popcorn kernel pop 3 blocks away. And then, Old Man Jenkins, God bless him, booed her. Actual, literal booing. It spread. Someone else threw a dinner roll. Good on too. Karen turned red as a stop sign and retreated, muttering something about bylaws and decorum. But it was too late, because in that moment, something bigger than grief sparked. A movement was born. Jet Feather didn't just run one last race that day. He started a stampede, right through the heart of the HOA's fear and control. The next day, a video of the funeral, Lily's speech, Karen's meltdown, the dinner roll incident went viral. And suddenly, it wasn't just about one bird anymore. It was about every neighbor who had ever been trampled by petty power, gnomes, gadgets, and justice, turning grief into guerrilla warfare. When grief runs deep, some people turn to therapy. Others, they build an army. And ours was about 3 feet tall, made of ceramic and equipped with motion sensors. Welcome to Operation Feather Watch, Phase 2 of our war for justice. After the funeral, the neighborhood was buzzing. Karen had underestimated something bigger than HOA bylaws, a grieving kid armed with determination and a toolbox. It started simple. Lily, ever the engineer in the making, modified an old garden gnome. She hollowed it out, stuffed a motion detector inside, wired a tiny speaker, and gave it one job. If Karen, or anyone resembling a clipboard-wielding tyrant, came within 20 feet, the gnome would squawk, loudly, like a furious ostrich in mating season. The first time it triggered, Karen nearly did a full Olympic backflip onto the sidewalk. 10/10 for form, 2/10 for grace. After we finished laughing, we knew we had something special. Soon the whole neighborhood got involved. The Hendersons hid a gnome inside their rose bushes. The Millers disguised one inside a flamingo lawn ornament. Mrs. Patel rigged her porch cat statue to play hawk sounds just for extra chaos. It wasn't just pranks, it was resistance. I saw John yell for her. Every unjust citation, every passive-aggressive letter Karen had ever taped to a mailbox, finally roaring back with tiny battery-powered vengeance. And the gnomes saw everything. We caught Karen sneaking into backyards after dark. We caught her removing Feather Forever signs planted on people's lawns. We even caught her trying, unsuccessfully, to pry a gnome off a mailbox while muttering words I can't repeat unless we want this video demonetized. And every clip, every picture, every ridiculous late-night footage of Karen waging her one-woman war against lawn ornaments went straight into a neat little evidence folder labeled Karen's Greatest Hits, Volume 1. But we didn't stop there. Oh no, this wasn't just a backyard rebellion anymore. It was a full-blown neighborhood uprising. And the next step? Turning Karen's own paper trail into the noose she never saw coming. Because once Detective Ortiz got involved, the truth about Jet Feather's death and Karen's dirty fingerprints on all of it was about to blow wide open. The rise of Storm Talon, rebuilding hope one feather at a time. After the war of the gnomes, after the funerals, the laughter, the secret footage, there was still a hole in our home. A lily-shaped, jet feather-shaped hole. You can rally a neighborhood. You can dethrone a tyrant, but you can't fix the quiet inside a kid who lost her best friend. Not unless you find a new dream to chase. And that's when she showed me Storm Talon. He wasn't much to look at yet. Skinny legs too long for his body, feathers sticking out like a bad hair day, and an attitude like he owned the world. But Lily, she saw him the way you hope your kid will always see the world. Not as broken, just unfinished. She'd secretly been saving again, mowing lawns, tutoring younger kids, selling feather-teamed keychains online. Seriously, there are grandmas in 3 states who now own fly-free charms made by my daughter. And with that money, she'd reserved Storm Talon, Jet Feather's little brother. Same bloodline, same fire. She introduced him to the backyard with a kind of ceremony you'd expect from royalty, whispered promises, gentle hands, and a new training whistle. And Storm Talon? He was ready. The first time he sprinted across the training field, it was messy, wild, glorious. He ran like he had something to prove, like he carried not just his own dreams, but Lily's too. Watching them together was like watching 2 broken things find the cracks that fit. And the neighborhood felt it too. Word spread that Jet Feather's legacy wasn't gone. It had wings again. People who barely knew us started dropping by with gifts. Someone donated hay bales for a new track. The local diner started serving victory waffles on weekends with a tiny feather stuck in the syrup. It wasn't about a race anymore. It was about a second chance. A second chance for Lily. A second chance for a community that had let Karen bully it too long. And Storm Talon. He wasn't just training for the Junior Exotics Racing Finals. He was training to outrun every lie, every loss, every lousy clipboard ever waved in our faces. He was running for hope. And this time, we were running right behind him. Because when race day came, weird, it wasn't just a race. It was a rebellion with feathers. The final stand, Ostrich Justice at Featherfest. The morning of Featherfest didn't feel real. It felt, Shalma, electric. Like every laugh, every tear, every stupid gnome ambush had been leading to this. The field was alive, tents everywhere, kids painting their faces, neighbors setting up fold-out chairs like they were preparing for a concert. And at the center of it all, Storm Talon, feathers slick, stance wide, a fire in his eyes that said, "Let's finish what Jet Feather started." Lily adjusted her helmet, tightened the strap, and gave me a thumbs up, the kind of fearless grin that can only come from someone who survived loss and decided to run anyway. She wasn't just racing today. She was reclaiming something. The racetrack wasn't perfect. Hay bales, cones, and a few suspicious potholes someone covered with glitter to make them less tragic. But it was ours. And the neighborhood? They showed up, not just physically, emotionally. Banners waved. Run Wild, Storm Talon. Kids wore homemade t-shirts. Feathers up. Even grumpy Mr. Dillard, who once filed noise complaints about wind chimes, had a foam finger that said, "One bird dad." It was beautiful. And for the first time in a long time, Karen Hensley wasn't lurking at the edges. She wasn't anywhere. Rumor had it she was stuck volunteering at a bird sanctuary 2 towns over. Poetic justice for someone who once called sparrows a menace to visual harmony. Then the announcer's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. "Riders, to the starting line." Lily guided Storm Talon forward, calm, focused. She gave him a little pat, a whisper only he could hear, and then mounted up like a warrior queen from some feathery, rebellious kingdom. The starter pistol fired, and they were off. Storm Talon launched forward like a cannonball made of muscle and feathers, his legs churning the earth into dust clouds. He wasn't the fastest bird yet. He was still growing, but today wasn't about speed. It was about courage, about standing up when the world tried to clip your wings. Halfway through the race, a few younger riders stumbled. A llama named Tina took a dramatic tumble into a lemonade stand. Everyone survived, except the lemonade. But Lily and Storm Talon? Steady, strong, flying without flying. I found myself yelling so hard my voice cracked. "Go, go!" The whole crowd was on their feet, a chaotic symphony of cheers and laughter, and cowbells someone definitely wasn't supposed to bring. And as Storm Talon crossed that finish line, not first, but proud, wings spread wide like a banner of defiance, something shifted. It wasn't just Lily's victory. It was ours. The neighborhood's. Every kid who got told their dream was too weird. Every parent who fought for a backyard that wasn't just a patch of grass, but a kingdom of imagination. Every single person who realized that some rules were made to be rewritten, preferably by a 12-year-old girl on an ostrich. And what happened after the race? Well, that's a whole other story. The story of HOA, one bird, one girl, and one ridiculous neighborhood found their freedom again. Beyond the fence, the legacy of Jet Feather and a neighborhood reborn. After the race, something strange happened. Something I never expected. The neighborhood didn't just go back to normal. It got better. The fences didn't grow taller. They got, friendlier. People started waving again, sharing garden tools, swapping recipes over backyard fences that no longer felt like barricades. The HOA, now led by a council instead of a clipboard queen, rewrote the rules from scratch. Rules built on community, not control. We kept Featherfest as an annual event, a celebration of running wild, dreaming big, and standing up when it counted. And every year, on the first day of spring, we gather at the track. Kids race everything, from decorated scooters to homemade ostrich costumes. Adults cheer so loud you'd think the Super Bowl moved to suburbia. And Lily? She's there every year, riding Storm Talon, leading the opening lap with a smile that could light up the whole county. She grew stronger, braver. She built a life around the memory of Jet Feather, not in grief, but in gratitude. Gratitude for the race they ran together, for the lessons he taught her about resilience, about fighting with heart, not hatred, about how sometimes you lose and you still win anyway. We hung that photo above the fireplace. No plaques, no speeches, just one small wooden sign underneath. Some dreams are too wild to fence in. And every now and then, when the breeze is just right, when the laughter of kids floats through the air, I swear you can still hear it. That sharp, fierce, beautiful cry of a bird who refused to be tamed. A reminder that freedom, true freedom, isn't just a right. It's a fight worth running for,